First of all, thank you very much for joining our webinar. This is the first series of our webinars at Leadco Groups Immigration Department. Uh, my name is Jubin Ahdi, and today, along with the CEO of our company, Sharon, we are going to uh, explain about the pathways to permanent residency for temporary residents in Canada. This is a very hot topic. I know that there are many people that came to Canada and they have a temporary status. Uh, Here we are going to help people to get the permanent residency and avoid any legal troubles with the government of Canada. But before that, if you don't mind, let me explain about that a few housekeeping rules actually. First of all, I would like to emphasize that this webinar is just for informational purposes. We don't have any immigration consultation in the per se definition here. These information are correct and fact-checked, but it may or may not apply to your specific case. So again, you can use it for gaining knowledge and information, but I mean, to apply all this information for your specific own case would be uh, should be done cautiously. Today we are going to explain a little bit about ourselves. Who are we? What is our company? What we're doing, and also understand that what are the PR options, permanent residency options for temporary residents inside Canada. And also we explain a little bit. We don't go that into details about the eligibility criteria because that would be a very, very comprehensive topic. It takes hours and hours to discuss about different programs. Uh, Also, we learn about the practical strategies, how what we learned so far in the previous sections we can I mean put together to use it to our benefit to get a Canadian permanent residency. And that's it pretty much. So I would like right now ask Sharon to introduce herself, but before that I will give a very short introduction to Sharon. Sharon is our CEO. She has more than 20 years experience in business immigration. Uh, she has vast knowledge of information about uh, Canadian and U.S. immigration. So it's my honor to work in Leadco Groups with Sharon, and to every day for me it's a learning experience. Uh, I would like Sharon to talk a little bit about herself, and then I will introduce myself as well. Thank you.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you, Jobin, too. Yeah, my name is Sharon, and I'm the Leadco Group CEO. It's wonderful to see you here, even though we had many people register with us, but that's okay. We're gonna go ahead and then talk about all your concerns in the webinar, sorry, and all the options for you. We will be covering the main PR pathway programs for the foreign workers, a breakdown of provincial nominee program across in Canada, tips and strategies to strengthen your PR application, and finally, a live question and answer session where I'll answer your specific questions. To start with, I'm gonna let Jubin talk about the express entries option for you guys, and then I will continue with provincial nominees options.
Thank you very much, Sharon. My name is Jubin Ahdi. I'm a regulated Canadian immigration consultant with level 3 L3 designation, which entitles me to practice in front of IRB as well, Immigration and Refugee Boards for refugee cases, immigration division cases, etc., etc. So I've been been an immigration consultant for the past 8 years. Before that, I have experience regarding, business consultations and also vast areas of the business immigration. Uh, I've been in good standing with CICC, College of Immigration and Citizenship Consultants. Also, I'm a member in KPIC, Canadian Association of Professional Immigration Consultants. And I'm a commissioner for taking affidavits in the province of Ontario. Yeah, as Sharon mentioned, we are going to talk about the pathways where we can, get the Canadian permanent residency. First of all, let me explain a little bit about, the current immigration landscape. In the past 2, 3 years, sorry, 5 years, a huge number of maybe around more than 400,000 permanent residents have been joined to Canada. And there have been there have not been actually. There have not been the infrastructure for Canadian society have not been developed in line with those increasing number of immigrants. So that's why, since 2024, Canadian government made a little bit the pathways for permanent residency uh, more under scrutiny, I would rather say. Still, if you're eligible and if you choose the right pathway and you apply, properly, there shouldn't be any concern for you because you are still eligible and in the application process you did not make any mistake. Uh, you were able actually to show your eligibility to the immigration officer. And hopefully, let's say that, there are no admissibility issues in the process, so you shouldn't be concerned. But many people actually, uh, the option the option have been reduced. So uh, because the options have been reduced, and still there are so many applicants, so many candidates they want to immigrate to Canada. The competition have been escalated. So the competition have been escalated with with the concern that as I mentioned, the government still they want to get the best candidate ever. So I would rather say that in the past 2, 3 years, after the changes of increased immigration levels, uh, right now getting the immigrants is not that important for the Canadian society. Getting the right immigrants and the right people to become the Canadian permanent residents is much more important for the government of Canada. So, uh, during our talk, we several times, we discussed about, the permanent residents and the temporary residents. Let me explain briefly, who are these people. The people who are either a visitor, whether for a few days, few months, few years in Canada, uh, they are temporary residents. The students, the temporary foreign workers, these are all temporary residents. Actually, the fact is that, when you get a visa, or, a counterfoil, I would rather call it, in your passport, there is an issue date and an expiry date, which means that, it's a temporary nature. It starts at one point and it finishes at another point. So the nature of your authorization to stay in Canada is a temporary nature. Also, the refugee claimant is the fourth category that I would like to call them as a temporary residence. This refugee claimant, I want to emphasize that as at the time that they start their refugee claim, they immediately become a temporary resident until the time that it would be the decision on their application would be finalized, actually. If the application, the refugee claim would be accepted, they become a permanent resident. If their refugee application would be refused, actually, there would be initially there would be an unforceable removal. They should be deported from Canada. So during this time, from the refugee claim till the decision for the RPD, Refugee Protection Division, they would be considered as a temporary residence. On the other hand, the people who get a permanent residency, they are actually allowed to stay in Canada unlimited forever. So why people choose to take a path to immigrate to Canada and get a Canadian permanent residency? First of all, is the stability. If you plan to stay in Canada indefinitely, having a temporary foreign work permit or study permit is a temporary nature. So you have to renew your permit. You have to renew your visa. And every time you renew that, you are literally you're facing a risk of your visa being getting refused. In some cases, I've seen people that they come to Canada on a visitor visa after 6 months, because after 6 months you have to either leave the country or ask for a temporary visitor record. Um, they applied for a visitor record. They asked the government to let them to stay a little bit longer and a little bit longer. And then, they did some, at those years, they could do the flag polling. They left Canada for a day, they came back again. But, after a while, I mean, because everything would be recorded in the GCMS, in the IRCC website, in the CBSA database. So the immigration officer would see that, you're just staying here. And if you leave for a day or two and then come back and you're applying for an extension to your visa. And they would deduct correctly that this extension is kind of showing a permanent nature. You want to stay permanently, while all the visas that we already discussed has a temporary nature. So by asking for extension over and over, you're risking the refusal of your visa. And also, as a PR permanent residence, you will have more benefits. You will have a more competitive advantage in the job market, actually. You can start your pathway for Canadian citizenship. And also, there are some small benefits during in the government, programs that you may benefit if you're eligible. So, uh, for talking about the pathways, I'm more inclined to divide them into the federal programs, into the provincial programs, and other programs, actually. The federal programs I'm going to explain right now, uh, provincial programs is different because they are offered to applicants by the provincial governments. The federal program is provided by the federal government, and I think everyone here knows about the difference between the federal and provincial governments. If you have any question regarding whatever I say, I would be more than happy to take a note, and we'll discuss about it at the end of the session. Yep. So basically, what we are talking about the federal programs, actually, uh, there are two major parts which I would like to talk, or three major parts, actually. Uh, the most obvious elephant in the room would be the express entry system. Express entry is a system. It's not an immigration program, but there are three major federal programs. There are Federal Skilled Worker Program, Federal Skilled Trade Program, and Canadian Experience Class. These three are directly can be applied under the express entry system. So I'm going to explain it. I mean, the picture is a little bit cut here. I'm going to explain the picture in more detail here. The programs which I'm going to talk right now is about skilled worker uh, streams, which is the first part is the express entry pathway. Then we're going to the PNP. Then we are going to the pilot program. This pilot program is actually uh, federal programs. We are going to then we'll go switch to actually entrepreneur streams. Uh, Let me give you a very short explanation. The people who are young, educated, have a good grasp of English language, but they don't have so much work experience because they're young. They would be categorized under skilled worker. They are meant to be get a permanent residency and immediately start their life in a Canadian job market and work. The people who are more experienced, maybe they don't have that great grasp of English language or English or French, and but they have management or ownership experience for a business back in their home country. They would be classified under entrepreneur term, and they have different kind of programs. So we're going to explain about these options very briefly. Uh, Let me see. Yeah, we're going to talk about for entrepreneurs, we have two major programs, Startup Visa Pathway and PNP Entrepreneur Pathways. Percentage system overview, there are three major programs which are already explained. Federal Skilled Worker Program is mostly for everyone abroad and inside Canada. I'm not going to go into the details because it's not necessarily beneficial for people who are actually in Canada. But I mean, there's a point system, there's a pool system. People submit their profiles into this pool. If they are nominated, they have to provide the documents for those for their application, and their application would be processed, and they would be uh, get a Canadian permanent residency. The problem is that, as I explained in the first or second slide, the competition is very high. So you should, I mean, when we talk in real sense, you should have something, I mean, master's or PhD with a IELTS 8.59 in all bands, I mean, it would be very difficult for someone to, and also, I mean, many applicants are already proficient in both languages, English and French. And otherwise, I mean, the chances of, getting a nomination is very slim. But the federal skill trade is more for the tradesperson, the people who have a skill. The another issue is that if you have a skill, whatever it would be plumbing, it would be uh, electrical works, anything. I would highly suggest that you go and get a provincial or red seal certificate from one of the provinces of Canada, because then you would be eligible to practice and apply under FST. Still, there are very few people that would be eligible under this program, so I'm not going to go into detail that. If you want, we can talk about it after the meeting, after the webinar. The third and most important program, which is actually right now is on the rise, many applicants, get a Canadian permanent residency, is Canadian Experience uh, class. And that belongs to people who are in Canada. They have at least 1 year of work experience from a Canadian employer. And because this type of people who have 1 year of experience from a Canadian employer are relatively are small. The competition is not that hard. Uh, I mean, we know people, we know organizations that the recruitment companies. We can refer you there. You can get a Canadian experience, and then you would be eligible. If already not, you would be eligible to get a Canadian uh, experience class eligibility. We are going to about the CRS. I already talked about briefly about the CRS score and the pool-based system. So I think I covered, briefly this part. If you want, we can talk about it. This is the 1 year skilled Canadian work experience. The language requirements for CEC, Canadian experience, is a little bit more relaxed than federal skilled worker. Usually, for the people who have the management uh, experience, like tier 0 or 1, they're required to show language proficiency of CLB 7, which is around IELTS 6. for people who have a lower tier, like two, three, or in some cases four. And I would like to emphasize that, tier four is they're not always accepted in the CEC program. And if you have a question, what is tier, we can again, talk about it. Uh, then, I mean, the CLB 5 would be sufficient, which is equal to IELTS 5, roughly. So anything more than, high school education would be eligible under this program. Of course, like any other program, higher education, higher language proficiency, and higher experience are always welcome. So I'm talking about the bare minimums, which are, I think, the bare minimum in CC is a little bit more relaxed than the other federal programs under CC, under Express Entry, sorry. So right now, we are going to talk about the provincial nominee programs, and I would like to ask Sharon to help me with this section. Thank you.
Thank you, Jubin, for all the information you provided. So now let's talk about provincial nominee programs or PNPs. For many people on work permit, express entry alone may not be enough. Maybe your CRS score is too low, or maybe you don't meet federal program requirements. And that's where PNPs comes in. Provinces and territories run these programs to keep the workers they need most. So if you're already working in Canada, especially with a local employer, PNPs can be one of the fastest and most reliable to get PR. So I'm going to explain what is the PNP. Each province has the right to select immigrants based on its labor market needs. If you're working, for example, in British Columbia, Ontario, Alberta, or even a smaller province like Nova Scotia, you might qualify for a program. The main idea basically is the province wants to keep you, they nominate you. And with the nomination, you get 600 points added to your express entry score, which is almost a guaranteed invitation for PR. If I want to talk about general requirements across PNPs, that would be a full-time permanent job offer from a local employer, 6 to 12 months of local work experience in the province. Meeting language requirements is between CLB 4 to 7, depending on your job. And intention to live and settle in that province long term. So I'm going to go briefly explain about the different provinces. I'm going to start with Ontario. Ontario that we call OIMP program. If you are in Ontario, the employer job offer stream is the key. If you have a permanent job in skilled trade role, like skilled role like IT, finance, healthcare, you may qualify. Ontario also has in-demand skilled stream. For semi-skilled job like truck driving, construction, personal support workers, and farm workers, you can apply too. This means even if you're not in a high-profile office job, Ontario still has a pathway program for you. But BC, British Columbia, the program is very active, especially with this tech pathway. If you're in IT, like software engineers, web developer, or tech support, you can get fast track. Even outside of tech, jobs in hospitality, tourism, and food processing are supported. Many of my clients in BC find this is the quickest way to get nominated. And for people who are living in Alberta, Alberta is a unique situation here because it often picks candidates with low CRS scores. Very interesting. Sometimes as low as 300. If you're working in Alberta, especially in healthcare, trades, or trucking, this is a golden opportunity. There's also a rural stream if you're working in a smaller Alberta community. This is a very good option for you, by the way. And then Manitoba and Saskatchewan, if we want to talk about that, these provinces value loyalty. Basically, if you've already been working for at least 6 months or more, they want to keep you. Even if your job is semi-skilled, as long as the employer supports you, you may qualify for nomination. For many foreign workers, Manitoba and Saskatchewan are the most accessible PNPs. Another one is very interesting program that they provide. It's Atlantic program, like for Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, PI, and Newfoundland. So the Atlantic provinces are actively inviting workers because of labor shortage. Healthcare, trucking, and food services are in a very high demand in Atlantic provinces. Many employers here are also part of the Atlantic program, which works side by side with PNPs to help you transition faster to PR. And now, why PNPs are powerful? So why do I stress PNPs? Because they give you an edge. Even if your CRS score is low and you don't compete in Federal Express entry draws, a PNP nomination is like a shortcut ticket for you. Once you're nominated, you get 600 points and you're practically guaranteed an invitation to apply. I think we covered the PNPs. Jubin, do you want to talk about pilot programs or I
Yeah,
can?
I'd love to.
Okay,
Yeah,
so yeah, go ahead with
yeah.
this pilot program. This is
Yeah,
interesting
sure.
too. Yeah.
Before we I move to the pilot programs, I want to stress about uh, two options because Sharon also explained thoroughly about the Atlantic immigration program as well. There is another one. It's called RCIP. There's a typo here. RINP has been closed last year. There we have, another one is called RCIP, Rural Community Immigration Pilot, which is a pilot right now, and uh, and also it's an immigration pilot. And the other two actually are Agri-Food, home childcare, and home support, which I'm going to explain a little bit. But before that, let me explain about LMIA-based work permits and how they can translate into Canadian permanent residency. In many cases, there is no direct pathway from applying to getting the Canadian PR. Many people they apply for to get a work permit, and if this work permit has some sort of requirements that would eligible make them eligible to start a business in Canada, start to develop their own businesses, and then after having gaining Canadian work experience working for their own company, they would be eligible to apply through Express Entry CEC, which we already covered in the previous slides, and then get a Canadian permanent residency. So basically, this LMIA-based work permits fall into that category. It's a two-stage or two-phase application. First, getting an eligible LMIA exempt work permit, and then or actually LMIA based it could be. And then in the second stage, after gaining the work experience, they can apply through Express Entry. Sharon explained about AIP, uh, RCIP, or federal or sorry, rural community immigration pilot is actually another pilot which there are some communities in rural parts of the Canada. Uh, there are some businesses if they are located in those communities and they want to hire a foreign national, they would be eligible to support their PR application. And it's a pilot. So basically, there are so much demand for that. So if you really want to apply through this application, please contact us because, I mean, we have like Leadco groups as a general. We have so much leads and contacts with those communities. We can help you on this matter. The other pilot program is the Agri-Food immigration. If you have experience in running a business in agriculture industry, then you can apply through this pilot. There are two uh, very hot immigration pilots, actually, home child care provider pilot and also home support worker. Basically, these are applied for the caregivers who want to immigrate to Canada. As you already know, Canada suffers from the shortage of caregivers. We have like a very aging society, and there's so many aging population in Canada, and we need caregivers to help the elderly in our society. And that's why, I mean, Immigration Canada always tries to make immigration easier for people who have experience in caregiving. So right now, it's the situation is very, very attractive. Uh, they only need something like a 6 months of some sort of certified education, not any education, and or uh, work experience, related work experience, Canadian work experience. And that's exactly Leadco can help you in this matter. We can help you to get the Canadian education for caregiver programs, certified caregiver programs. And also we can help you to uh, get connected to the Canadian employers who actually need caregivers, and by having the work experience there, you can gain the required experience. So basically, we can not only do the immigration application for these pilot programs, but also we can help you to gain the prerequisites and requirements for these programs. And because it's a pilot, it's kind of new to Canadian immigration context. And so many people, they are not still fully aware of the requirements and the process. So that's why, the competition is not that hard. It's not that high for the time being for 2025, 2026. So if you really want to get a Canadian permanent residency fast, I think that, I mean, pilot program would have advantage over like tried and tested programs like, federal skilled worker, because, the competition is not that intense so far. And then, I mean, because we want to cover all the areas, let me explain about the family sponsorship. Family sponsorship is not mainly considered as a mean to get Canadian permanent residency. It's more about that if you are connected with a family relationship with a Canadian or permanent residence in Canada, then that person can sponsor you if, especially if you're a spouse, the requirements are much easier. But the same can be applied for parents and grandparents, for the children and grandchildren. And also in the rare situation, it could be applied for the siblings, brothers, sisters. Uh, and also there are some rare, very rare situations when someone, a Canadian citizen or permanent resident, can sponsor one family, even a distant family member. But the requirements for all of these family sponsorship is that you, as the foreign national, you should have a Canadian or permanent residence citizen or permanent resident in your family. So I'm not going to go through the detail of that, but still, there's something to think and consider if you're eligible for that. Uh, the last one is about refugee and humanitarian applications. Again, just like family sponsorship, This is not a pathway to gain Canadian permanent residency. Uh, People usually do not choose to become a refugee or asylum seekers. People, unfortunately, in our world today, people sometimes, get persecuted in their home country, and or they would be displaced. There are situations beyond everyone's control, so people need protection. And Canada, as a member of, the world community, the world countries, is responsible to support these people. So basically, I'm not going to touch the details. I'm going to explain clearly says that if you feel for whatever reason that your life might be under danger or persecution back in your home country, give us a call, especially if you're in Canada, inside Canada. Most of these situations, would not be applicable if you are not currently inside Canada. So give us a call. We can talk about your situation. We can assess your situation, and we can help you with your immigration matter. On the same time, I would briefly explain about HNC considerations. So basically, so far we talked about so many different provincial and federal immigration programs, and we already know at least that, all of these programs, they have some sort of eligibility criteria. You should have this language, you should have this age, or you should have this certificate, etc., etc. Or in some cases, you should get this score in CRS score. So, what happens if someone doesn't meet one, and I'm saying only one of these, uh, requirements, but they meet the others? Uh, and their life would be again, in danger if they go back to their home country, or there might be a humanitarian consideration. They can apply for the permanent residency application. Anything it could any PR application. It could be federal skilled workers, Canadian experience class, this and that. But they can add a top layer of HNC application on the PR application. So what I'm trying to say is that, HNC application is not a separate application. It's something that we should be bundled with a, an existing PR application. And it would explain the situation to the immigration officer that, these are the HNC, humanitarian and compassionate consideration that we request from the IRCC for the same, HNC reasons or consideration to disregard only one of the general PR application. And the officer, needless to say, they are uh, totally authorized to accept or disregard the application. So there are some cases that you might be eligible for HNC, you don't even know. We can talk about it. We can see that, which PR pathway is suitable for you and whether you are eligible for any HNC consideration or not. And if you are eligible, then of course, having an HNC consideration will definitely help your PR application by a long shot. So, uh, before we start this uh, presentation and webinar, me and Sharon was talking to each other, and because we have so many people calling us and ask about their immigration issues, the problems they're facing in Canada due to their temporary residence status. We decided to talk a little bit about status maintenance and restoration. This is not exactly the pathway to get a permanent residency, but if you are a temporary resident in Canada and if you don't follow these guidelines, there are chances that your status would be uh, under scrutiny or would be expired or would have that you would face issues before even you get a Canadian permanent residency. So I think it's important that you always should maintain your valid status. Many people they think that as soon as they uh, enter to Canada, they can stay here forever. No, the visitors can stay up to 6 months. Uh, even they have multiple entry, 5 years, 10 years. Visitor visa. The authorized stay is by max is 6 months, unless it has been clearly mentioned in your passport, written in your passport by the CBSA officer at the port of entry. So you should always remember not to overstay. If you are planning to stay longer than 6 months, you have to bring the matter to IRCC, ask for any sort of visitor record or study permit extension or work permit extension. You should always, discuss the matter. So this is one of the most important thing I really want to talk about it. The second thing is that, if for whatever reason you forgot to renew or extend your status, temporary resident status, you have a 90-day restoration window that is more considered for study permits and work permits. And still, the chances would be lower, the risks would be higher, the costs would be higher for restoration. But still, there is a legal pathway that you would be eligible to restore your status. And the last part is that, if you applied for any permanent residency application and your application has been received and kind of approved, then you would be eligible for bridging open work permit. Basically, bridging open work permit is about getting a work permit and you would be able to work for any Canadian employer from the day that your application has been received and approved by IRCC until the time that, there's a decision on your PR application. So basically, during this time, you can stay in Canada and work in Canada for any Canadian employer. That would make things easier and you would not lose your status, as we talked about it beforehand. There are some small consideration about CRS improvement and then everyone can use. Basically, as we mentioned, we are talking about general guidelines. We are not talking about case-specific tips and tricks. So the general guidelines would be that you can improve your language scores. There's always chances that you can improve that. And I'm happy to inform you that at Leadco Groups Education Department, we have an extensive English and French program to help you improve your language. So this is, one of the easiest and best ways to help you to get a higher CRS score. We have connections and contact with DLIs, designated learning institutions across Canada, so we can help you to get some Canadian education, which always increase any Canadian education will add 15 points to your CRS score. Also will help you to be eligible for so many federal and also provincial programs. There are some programs like international students in Ontario, in Saskatchewan, I guess. There are so many other programs that that are designed or are eligible for international students. And also by placement, as I already discussed, for caregivers, you will get work experience score, Canadian work experience score, if you have a job offer. And there are so many PNPs already, Sharon covered that you would be able to apply for so many PNP pathways if you have a valid job offer from a Canadian employer. So these are, uh, fast and very beneficial ways to increase your CRS score. Sharon already explained that, if you have a PNP nomination, you would get 600 points. So it would be kind of, I'm going to be very, very cautious at saying that, but kind of guarantees with 600 extra points. I mean, you would be surely, receive your ITA, invitation to apply, in no time. Anyways, so Uh, I want you to, if you just get, these basic information, there are some common mistakes to avoid. You shouldn't do that at all, which means missing your deadlines. Uh, Whether you want to renew your status, extend your stay in Canada, or apply for immigration pathways. There are so many immigration pathways that you should apply today. Or there are so many immigration pathways like caregiver programs, pilots, that you should start your application, you should start preparation today, but the application deadline would be in 3 months or 4 months or 6 months from now. But if you want to leave everything to the last day, definitely you would fail. And second point is that, sending incomplete application. Everyone who submits their application, they think their application is complete. Otherwise, no one would submit an incomplete application. The problem is that what you might see as a complete application might be interpreted as an incomplete by the immigration officer because they have so much more grasp on the immigration law and regulation. So my suggestion is that if you're in doubt, always hire an immigration company, a regulated immigration consultant, an immigration lawyer, someone who, first of all, they have the knowledge for immigration law and regulation. Second, they should have the license because otherwise, it would not be easy for you to see that who has the knowledge. And third one is should be the one that you actually trust. So if some company that meets all three requirements, definitely it's best if you have them to help you to prepare the application and submit the application because you are avoiding so many costly and risky mistakes in the future. And the third one is the understanding the eligibility. And that would be also resolved by having a authorized immigration company at your side because they'll help you to avoid, the programs that you are not eligible and focus on improving your eligibility requirements as we already briefly touched in previous slide to improve your situation for the program that you are actually eligible. And yes, so these are the summary of key takeaways. There are so many PR pathways for temporary residents. Um, what we talked today is actually beneficial for people who are actually inside Canada. If we want to consider the PR pathways for people who are outside Canada, the number would be go even higher. And I would suggest that you start early and look for professional immigration companies. Now, uh, we have some Q&A session here. I would be more than happy, me and Sharon actually, to answer your questions. If you have any questions, please, 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 now it's the right time to ask.
Yes, so thank you so much for all the explanation. If there's any question, we are here to answer all your questions.
Yeah, hi, Sharon. Okay, I have a couple of questions. Okay, so okay, I live in Alberta actually. I mean in Calgary. When my knock code is 70010. Okay, and it's a construction manager thing. So this is coming under Alberta's construction priority sector, or is it there any chances to call under priority sector jobs in the Alberta PNP?
I'm sorry, your voice was very low and I barely heard your knock code. Can you just talk a
One
little bit
second.
louder and
Yeah,
also repeat your knock code again?
70010. You can hear me now?
70010
10. Yeah.
construction manager. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's your question, may I ask?
So is it considered under Alberta's priority sector thing? There is a sector, right? Priority sector in a PNP.
So my question is that, the again, the priority sector, the priority that, it's considered in Alberta PNP. It's not a fixed list.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to change, over time. Did you
Mm-hmm.
know that?
No, I'm not sure actually. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, what happens is actually in the priority list in so many provinces, even, Ontario, the list has been defined by,
Mm-hmm.
provincial immigration the ministry. And then, over time, based on the
Mm-hmm.
requirement of the job market in that province, the list would be changed. In some provinces, like Saskatchewan, they go even one step farther. So what they
Mm-hmm.
do is that they, like, Saskatchewan SIMP skilled worker, occupation in demand. What happens is that they do it draw by draw, and they don't inform that, in the next draw, for example, construction manager is a priority. They don't inform that. They look through the pool of, submitted applications, and they just choose and pick the construction managers. This is, but even if they don't do that, the list of, priorities would be a very flexible list. It would change over time.
Mm-hmm.
And
Can I answer something? So are you, sorry, you said 70010, right?
Yeah.
So that's a construction manager.
Yep.
Are you the construction manager?
That's my knock code, and I'm working as a same role like a planner. We are doing a planning and scheduling jobs. Yeah.
Yeah, so currently this is not in the priority list, this knock. Uh, but I
Mm-hmm.
can give you a hint. If you apply in for Nova Scotia with this knock, if you get a job, there is a pilot program, critical construction worker, which highly in demand. The chance of it's a PR pathway program for Nova Scotia. That's
Mm-hmm.
a is a very good pilot program if you're in the construction
Yeah,
sector.
but I'm working in, I can apply while working in Calgary also, this one.
Well, depends on if you need to talk to your basically employer if they have another, let's say, branch there.
Mm-hmm.
It might be, but because we cannot do consultation right now,
Okay,
if
no
you
problem.
if you book with us, because there are other people here, you might not want to share your information as well.
Sure.
But this is a very good pathway program right now. Straight to PR and with designated employers. We have a very good network with these people and recruiters in Nova Scotia. So try
Okay.
to book an appointment with us and we will go
Sure.
through all the details with you.
Okay. And second one is like any info, I read somewhere that the job offer points for the intra-company transfers, okay? Are they gonna reinstate any rumors or anything you hear?
I
rumors.
question.
No, I have heard that in a CIC news, okay, in that website, it was saying maybe there is a possibility to reinstate the job offer points, okay, for if you are intra-company transfer, like.
Okay,
Oh, okay, go ahead.
can I answer that? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Abdul, you see that, there are two uh, different topics that we are talking about. Uh, Intercompany transfer is someone who has been working uh, outside Canada, and then they would be transferred
Mm-hmm.
inside Canada into one of the Canadian branches, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you are talking about express entry system. So my consideration is that in express entry profile, the time that you are actually worked outside Canada would still, count toward your, work experience. The time that you work inside Canada for the Canadian branch of your, international company, which you're working right now, or in
Mm-hmm.
case that you're working, uh, if it is 1 year or more, then still, that would count toward Canadian experience. So let's say I worked 5 years back in Egypt, and then right now it's been a year and a half that I've been working inside Canada. So I have 5 years of, or 6 years actually, 5 years of international experience and 1 year of Canadian experience. So basically, that how you, when you calculate your scores, that how it would be calculated. And it's been there forever. So if you're talking about the express entry, because you mentioned express entry,
Yeah, I'm
but
talking about the job offer points actually.
oh, I'm sorry, but the job offer points in express
Hmm.
entry system is the job offer points is gone. If they would be back again, which I have a feeling, still, it's a feeling.
Hmm.
And as you mentioned, you said rumor. Uh, there might, go back because personally, I think that, it's a very unreasonable decision by IRCC. I
Hmm.
hope that, the points will go back because it will, we are talking about skilled worker programs,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And how can you say that this professional is more professional than the other one? Even in
Hmm.
the hiring and recruitment processes, we say that, I need someone, an engineer with 10 years of experience. Naturally, we expect that, an engineer with 10 years of experience is more professional than a freshly
Hmm.
graduated engineer. So that is something, all the companies use as a work experience. So I think that, it would go back again by IRCC, but still, we are not, uh, talking here about our speculation. And we wait until, it would be clearly communicated by our IRCC. Right.
Okay. Thank
And
you.
just to add just to add something to this point, I would like to add that, but at the time that Immigration Canada removed the points for job offer from express entry, they clearly mentioned that we are doing this just to fight the fraud because there was so much
Hmm.
fraud for fraudulent job offers. So many applicants were unfortunately scammed, and that was some sort of line of defense, the first line of defense by IRCC. To By removing the points, they would remove the incentive for these fraudulent companies to offer fake job offers, and also to remove the incentive for the applicants to pay, like, huge fortunes to get a fake job
Hmm.
offer. But I'm hoping that IRCC will try to reframe the work experience structure. So sooner or later they would bring back the points for work experience in a way that it would be fair, and it would be there. It would be in a way that to prevent bad players from actually abusing the
Hmm.
applicants.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. And the same knock code, I can see that is under the trade occupations category in the federal. Okay. So I can, and it could be a guesstimate actually. I can see that every time everyone is guessing, there will be a trade occupation called in the federal CRI, what do you call, the draw. Do you guys think that it's going to come or like it's again?
Well,
Hmm.
there was one draw for specifically for constructions section, and if you already applied at that time, which was I think a year or 2 years ago, something like that. Unfortunately, that the construction draw did not repeat itself.
Hmm.
Right now, as you can guess, the priorities would be for francophone, the people who speak French,
Hmm.
and other segments like health, which again, caregivers would be considered, partially as health section, and other, specialized draws. But at the same time, there are other provinces. I would like to, bring your attention to the fact that although you are based in Calgary right now,
Hmm.
but it would be always, better if you see the big picture. right?
Mhm.
So maybe, maybe we can talk about it later in detail about
Sure.
your
Okay. No problem. Yeah.
immigration options. Because, I mean, I assume that you said that you're a construction manager. You have extensive experience in construction and you have Canadian experience. So, I mean, there should be so many other options for you. So, I mean, yeah, we have to go and,
Yeah, you
get
can
more
reach out.
information from you.
Yeah, you can
Sure.
reach out on WhatsApp or the phone and then book an appointment. Leave your information. We can follow up with you as well, and then we can see what we can do for you.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Any
Is there any
questions,
other
Sijan?
question? I think
Oh
Sijan
yeah,
is quiet.
I have a question. I have a few questions. So, like my background is I graduated from UBC last year with degree in computer engineering, and then I am working. I have now 1 year of work experience as a software developer. Then I just have a question that I haven't applied through the Canadian Express entry, but I think that's the option that I have right now because for BCP and P Tech option, I think I need 2 years of full-time skill work experience. But after graduation, I only have 1 year of full-time work experience. So I assume I have to apply through the CEC. My question was that if I apply with my current employer, um, do I still have to be employed at the same company, or can I apply and then switch like my jobs to a different company?
Okay, Sharon, should I answer or you'll take the lead? Okay. Let me uh let me briefly explain it, Sijan, about your situation. First of all,
You're cutting off. Can you repeat again too? I think
I'm
you cut.
sorry. I'm sorry. So I would like to explain the situation, Sijan. Uh, as a general rule of thumb, okay,
Mm,
generally, I would always recommend to anyone, any any applicant, anyone who
mm,
wants to get a permanent residency,
mm,
that they applied for a express entry profile. Even if I don't know how to say that. Even if you're outside Canada, even if you haven't finished your studies, I mean, whatever. Like, I mean, just create a profile in Express Entry and keep it. And from time to time, go there and update your information if there are any changes. Uh, as I explained earlier in this presentation, in this webinar, unfortunately, the competition for Express Entry is very, very high.
mm,
So my point is that, I mean, keep it as an option.
mm,
Don't put all your eggs in the basket of Express Entry. That would be a huge mistake. So many people create their profiles into Express Entry system, but they don't get any invitation in any of the draws. But still, I mean, it's free, it's inexpensive. Like, I mean, it doesn't take your time. Like, in half an hour, you can create a profile and you don't have to
mm,
pay anything. So why
mm,
not? Like do that. Uh, so I mean, whether you are still haven't finished your studies or whether you are still working, whatever is your situation, I would suggest that you start doing that right away. Second thing is that, I mean, if you have 1 year of work experience inside Canada, then you would be eligible uh, you would be actually, if you put your information into the profile, the system will indicate your profile as an eligible for CEC. You don't need to do anything. Yeah, actually, it's not the system because you haven't created a profile. Probably you don't know that part. But actually, you don't get to choose your stream. You put your information, and the stream will choose one or more stream for you. Actually, one stream for you. So just create your profile, and you'll see what will happen.
mm,
If you want, if you're serious about, I mean, getting a PR, creating a profile in Express Entry is not enough. It's not sufficient. Like, I mean, you should always go and talk to an immigration company. They should provide you with a extensive plan with so many other options, and creating a profile is just one of the steps. And if you start your journey to permanent residency with an immigration company, uh, definitely they would create a profile for you, which you don't need to worry about or keeping your profile updated, or you don't need to worry whether you created your profile correctly. All those teeny tiny bits would be, I mean, covered by that company. But this is the first step, and with the Canadian Experience class, you don't need to change your employer as long as your employer is a Canadian employer, like they are following the federal uh, government, I mean, rules and regulations. They're registered with CRA and so on. So you shouldn't
Oh,
worry about anything.
my question was that what if I want to change the employer? Like, what if I
Yeah,
want
you
to?
can change. Yeah, you can change that.
Oh,
Yeah,
No
you
worry.
can
oh,
change your employer. That should be
oh,
okay.
okay. I see. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, and then I also
Because
have another.
in
Yeah,
CEC, just let me add this part. Because in
yeah.
CEC, what we are talking about is your past Canadian experience, right?
Mm,
Let's say that,
mm,
I have 1 year of Canadian work experience with one Canadian employer, but then,
mm,
I stop I mean, work with that employer. I
mm,
go back to my home country. I'm not even in Canada anymore, right?
mm,
Uh, Still, I'm eligible for CC because that 1 year of work experience is what is already happened.
mm,
Although, I mean, there are other concerns. I would never recommend anyone who is a foreign national to go back to their home country while they are trying to apply for permanent residency. Your options inside Canada would be always more than for the people that who are abroad and out of Canada.
mm.
But still, I mean, to answer your specific question, whatever you do right now is irrelevant. You would be still eligible for CC.
Also,
Um,
just remember, after you apply, basically after submitting your BC PNP tech application, you
mm.
must stay with the employer who gave you the job offer. So you have to make sure once you submitted your application, you need to stay with the same employer at the time you applied.
Oh, that's for BCPNP, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Makes sense.
Yeah.
I have one more question. Is that I want to incorporate my own business or not incorporate my business like a side project as my business while I'm working full time on my work permit. So is there any like implications for doing the PR application if you have your own business and also work full time?
No, there is
No.
no implication if you want to start your own business. Anyone, like Canada, anyone can start a business in so many provinces. You can have a
The connection is bad.
incorporate a company. Yeah, I mean,
Mm,
you can incorporate your company in so many provinces. You should be careful not to. Uh, you should be always in line with the provincial and federal, uh, I mean, corporation acts. Like, if in BC there is a corporation act, in Ontario there's a different corporation act. You should ensure that, you're following the regulations. If you're registering your business in British Columbia, you should ensure that, you are in line with the Corporation Act of British Columbia, as well as, I mean, federal regulations. And as far as you are in line with those regulations, you would be okay. And
okay.
If you're
the
not
the
on
business,
a closed work permit, yeah. If you're on a closed work permit, you cannot. But if you are on an open work permit, there's no effect. It won't affect your PR application. You can do
Um,
that.
Makes sense. Yeah. Thank you.
No problem.
If I
So
wanted to book, yeah, go on.
let me because Sharon, open about the work permit matter. Let me explain it as well. That registering a company or incorporating a company in Canada is different from working on that company on a payroll. So you can register a company. It doesn't affect anything. But if you are putting your name into the payroll, then you need to have the work permit, for either closed work permit for that company, or you should have an open work permit or something like that. So these are the small, minuscule differences that you should keep in mind. But registering a company, I mean, shouldn't be an issue as long as you follow the regulations. It may not be beneficial it may not help your PR application under Express Entry. That thing should keep in mind, but it doesn't hurt at the end of the day.
Makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah.
Okay, I think
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, we have completed 1 hour, actually more than that, our first webinar. You guys can subscribe and follow us. We will have these webinars at different topics bi-weekly. Maybe you can introduce this to other relative friends where we're looking for more information with different programs. They might be beneficial for them. So now that we covered the federal, provincial, and pilot programs, I hope we answered your questions. If you need more details on your case, you need consultation, please contact us. This is our direct line and WhatsApp line. Also, you can check our website and send us email. We will upload this video on YouTube anytime you need to go back for all this information. Please go ahead and watch the video.
Perfect. I would like also to
Okay.
thank you for your time
Thank you for
and
your time.
effort,
Yes.
and wish you a very wonderful day and very peaceful immigration pathway. Take care.
Thank you, everyone. Have
Thank
a
you.
wonderful day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.